It's always good to start the video with all the cables plugged in, not yanking them out right when I start. Welcome to my daily Facebook Live broadcast. My name is Barry Selby. This is Messages from the Masculine to Inspire the Feminine Heart. I'm a best-selling author, speaker, and relationship attraction expert, helping strong, successful women find balance in love, life, and business. And I'm also a passionate champion for the divine feminine, which is why I'm doing this talk. That's why I do these talks, by the way. This is number 228 in my daily Facebook Lives. And this one, because it's Martin Luther King birthday today, MLK Day, I thought, let's do something based on that. And in fact, it came up in my conversation today, and I saw it in a group I'm part of now, a men's group, talking about this, which is, Martin Luther King had a dream where black men and white men could be equal, basically about racial equality. And he says something like, don't judge by appearance, judge by character. So, good to see you in here. I haven't seen you for a while. Nice to have you in my broadcast. Thank you. So, I'm playing this one out because if you watch my broadcast, you know I'm very much about supporting women and being empowered and being inspired and living in their feminine. That's why these talks are called Messages from the Masculine to Inspire the Feminine Heart. And this is number 228, so I've been doing this for a while. And this one is really a riff, in a way, or my own bias flavor speaking regarding women, because I think it's time, especially right now with all the upset and the disturbance coming up with the Me Too and Time's Up and all these different things that are coming forward. There's a lot of upset going on between men and women. Mostly women against men, which may be justified, but it's a pendulum swing that hasn't come into balance, and it may not for months. So my dream, this is not Martin Luther King's dream, this is Barry Selby's dream, is of gender equality, meaning that at some point in time, soon I hope, there'll be a time where we men and you ladies look at each other as equals. Not the same, it's very different. I'm very clear about this. We are equal and different. So it's not about equal, therefore you should do the equal work. It's not about you do different work. And it's different instabilities. Now, equal pay, that's a whole other conversation. That's not in my ballpark. I'm not going to talk about equal pay at this point. It's not my soapbox. But respect for women is very much in my soapbox. And so the idea being is you judge character, not appearance, which is taken from Martin Luther King's quote. So I'm giving props, make sure I do that. But I want to speak to a couple of things. There is a lot of upset, as I mentioned, in this conversation between men and women, because women have not had a chance to speak up for this in a way that was respectful for them, that was effective, and that caused the change. And what's happening right now for a lot of men, and I'm in that camp so I can speak from this personally, is there's a certain level of trepidation showing up for us now, which may be good in a way, that we are not in a place where we can necessarily interact with women without being very cautious about what we say and what we do, because it might be taken the wrong way. I've spoken before about an experience I had 7 years ago, it's been years ago now, where I was accused of sexual harassment at my spiritual center of all places. It was actually a made-up accusation because she didn't like the fact I didn't approach her the way she wanted. I didn't, in fact, approach her, period. She wanted something from me and I wasn't willing to give it, so she accused me of sexual harassment. That's reversed. It was a blessing in disguise on so many levels, but I've been through that. And at the time it was good news because I found out pretty quickly that it wasn't what it was said to be, which relieved me, because at the time when I heard it, I was like, what have I done? It was such a disheartening experience to go through that accusation and to be fired from ministry leadership that I had. It wasn't a paid position, so you can't be really fired. I was ejected, let's put it that way. And that was painful. I mean, it really was not a comfortable situation. Pretty quickly, though, thankfully, I got some feedback from some people that really put me back in balance, because I started finding out the truth of what happened. It wasn't me, thank God, because especially with the work I do and what I'm about, that's the last thing I want to have in my face or true about me, because it's not my truth. That's not what I do. But to be accused of it was painful. And so what I'm aware of is there's a challenge that some people, I'm not using genders in this one, tend to paint the opposite sex with the same brush, as in making everybody on the opposite side of the fence, in a way, judge them the same way. So there are women in the women's camp, for example, who look at men because certain men have sexually harassed them and judge all men as being sexual harassers. There are men who look at women because in past relationships they had relationships with women who were controllers or who were that B word, being bitches, or were basically taking it for all their worth, because some women have done that. And they look at all women as being that. So we have a bad habit as human beings of taking one experience and applying it to everybody else. And it's inaccurate. So there's a couple of pieces I want to, this is coming up, there's a couple of pieces I want to speak to about this, because this is important to realize. With the upshot of the Me Too and the Time's Up movement and conversation, there I'm inviting and offering, suggesting that we have a measured and honest conversation in this arena for all sides, both sides. Because, quite rightly, there are some men who are deserving of all the punishment they're going to get, and hopefully more, because it's out of alignment. So this outing of their sexual behavior, misbehavior, and abuse and hurt of women needs to be punished. No argument. I'm totally on board with that. Not saying I'm going to go and punish them, but it should not be allowed. Agreed. So I'm absolutely in alignment with the Me Too and Time's Up conversation. And at the same time, there's a desire in me to offer a suggestion of, not tolerance is the wrong word, but a measured understanding, maybe something like that. Because this conversation is not a black and white conversation. It's not going to be it's not going to be like, let's paint everybody with the same brush, because as has been shared in I've seen it on different interviews on online and other places too, most of the men on the planet respect women, and at least, because all men do respect women, but at least I'm going to take action against them, which would be harassment or sexual abuse or verbal abuse or emotional abuse or any of those things. That's a small minority of men, thank God. And ideally, after this, it will get smaller. Or in fact, go away will be even better. I'm not in control of that, I know. But this conversation is about understanding the fact that it's not all of one gender against all the other gender. Which I know it's not, but there's a feeling that it's like that. And so there's this invitation, I would say, at least when I'm putting it in this talk, this broadcast, that we start looking at each other with respect, period. Because if we start with that, if we start with respecting each other, then those avenues of destructive behavior don't show up. Those avenues of hurt and against us for other people don't happen. If we start with respect, we start to realize that we are the same but different. We're equal but different, rather. And so men and women can live in harmony, as Martin Luther King would say. So I'm using today's marker as a inspiration for this talk, because it is a dream as well, in a sense. And as his dream came true, or at least it's coming true at different places, different times, I know it's not fully true, very clearly, I think that the dream I'm offering, the suggestion I'm offering, that men and women can be in an equal, respectful place, can happen maybe even sooner, ideally very soon. And this is also transcendent of transcendent of race. Because in some cultures, in some races, there's a very different dynamic and a very different balance between men and women. So I'm just looking at it from the point of view of what I see in this country, because that's where I live, and most of the Western world, which is in a similar boat, generally speaking. Ladies, you've come a long way in a short period of time based on the cultural revolution that's been happening at different stages through the race, with the suffragettes, the sexual revolution, and this is another marker, this is another level. So I know I'm not the only man who's saying this, I'm sure. But ladies, absolutely, you deserve all that you're asking for. You deserve to stand in your truth, to be respected, to be honored, and to own your own feminine authority. It's time. And it's time for us men to be part of that conversation. It's part of us men to be willing to say yes, to bow to respect that, and to stand next to you with respect. Because there's some conversations going on where men are being hated by women. There are conversations where men have to be put down by women, like put down second place to experience the same pain and suffering. It doesn't solve anything, ultimately. And for most women who are doing that, their wounds are running their choices, and that's not healthy. So, for men and women, because this works on both sides of the conversation, if you can bring yourself into the conversation with the opposite gender, and not bring your wounds with you, your hurt with you, in fact, better yet, you seek support to get your wounds, your past hurts healed first, that'll raise the conversation much higher, much faster. It's a change that's needed. And what's happening, as is obviously so, with what's happened in the initial surge of the Me Too conversation, many women were speaking from their hurt and their pain. So their torch-bearing, burn them at the stake energetic was very much in their tone. At the same time, there's a maturing that's happening. At least I hope there's a maturing happening, where we're getting to the point where we're realizing that, yes, if you were hurt in the past, somebody who hurt you deserves to be punished, or at least lose their privileges. And it's your choice, your call, your priority to heal your own self. Because then you come from a neutral place. One, so you don't do something you might regret. And two, you're not dependent upon them for your happiness. Because the other part of this is, and this is the thing I've talked about before, if you're sitting in a place where you are wounded and hurt from a past experience, and you want the other person punished because of that, which may be justified, their punishment won't solve your pain. You've ever experienced that before? Your pain can only be healed by your own love. Nobody else can heal it, not in your relationship, not having that person killed even. And I'm being extreme in that point. But if you've got a past hurt with somebody in your life, maybe in a relationship, maybe a family dynamic, maybe at work, maybe it was a sexual harassment case, sexual abuse, or whatever it was, if you've got a wound from that time, doesn't matter what happens to the other person, doesn't matter how much they're punished, if they're put in jail for 20 years, you will actually find out that that wound inside doesn't go away. Sorry. It's part of our human makeup, is that the person that inflicted pain on us, we agree to the pain. Before you jump on me, let me explain that one. We let that wound in. Now, if we were young and we were impressionable, that can happen. But with that pain that comes in from the outside, we choose what we do with it. If we let it in and we keep, because the thing is, when that pain comes in, we then keep it in there for 20 years. It wasn't them that did that for 20 years. They did it once. We kept the pain inside ourselves for 20 years. So whatever happens to them is irrelevant. And because the whole point is you're not a victim of them anymore. But if you're still waiting for them to somehow fix it so you can be whole, then you're a victim to whatever they do or don't do. So that wound that's inside, that's been sitting for 20 years, hopefully not that long, must as a priority be healed by you, with help if needed. But it's not done by them, it's by you. So I hope this is making sense. And just this big piece just dropped in as I was talking. The distinction I want to make clearly is, if you were hurt, abused, suffering in the past from an experience in a relationship or in partnership or whatever it was, and that person left, you do not need to carry it any longer. Are we clear? I want to make sure you get that. And in fact, your priority, as I mentioned, your focus should be, ideally, is to heal that past hurt once and for all. Because then you can be free. Free to be whole, free to love again, free to choose wisely, and free to forget that even happened. Forget that person and get over it, because they're not in control of your life. Much as you don't think they are, they still are if you leave that wound in there. That wasn't where I was planning to go in this talk, but that's where it came through. So, in summary, because this went way outside the circle, we've got work to do. That's the way it is. For men and for women in this conversation. We've got a conversation that's on the table that started recently. It's got a long way to go yet, but my vision, my intention, my dream, as it were, is to see us come to a place where we're healed, individually and collectively, and that we can raise the bar so that we can, in fact, respect each other as individuals, as different, as equal, but different. So I hope you'll come along with me for the ride. I think that's it. There's a teaching in there I didn't expect to come through, but hopefully you got value from it. If you found value in it, thank you. Let me know. I appreciate some in the comments below. Also, if you are someone who knows people who could watch this and get value from it, please share it with them. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is my daily Facebook Live, number 228 in a series of talks called Messages from the Masculine to Inspire the Feminine Heart. Thank you for the hearts, by the way. If you haven't watched any of these before, I highly invite you to check them out on my my business page, which is Facebook on barryselby.author. I also put them onto YouTube, so I can then put them on my website. So you can find them on my YouTube channel, which is Barry Selby, or on my website, also barryselby.com. Click on the video blog to watch them there. If you have any questions or you want help in this area, if you're doing the healing work, that's what I do with my clients. If you want to get some help in the healing, please reach out to me. I'd love to support you and help you with that. But to take this to heart, this is a possibility now where we can change direction. We've had some inspirational talks, had some things happen. But the truth was, for example, at the Golden Globes, which is only a week ago, less than a week ago. No, just over a week ago, excuse me, this is Monday. It was Sunday before last. There was a distinct flavour of men being denigrated by women versus women claiming their power. It was actually it was a little bit of a bias. It wasn't like the pendulum had not swung to centre, but the pendulum swung slightly over centre. So my intention is going forward, we'll bring the pendulum back to centre and have a more balanced, is that centre? Something like that. Have a more balanced and honest conversation. So this is part of my contribution. These daily talks, all 228 of them so far, are intended to support and serve the feminine particularly, but also to wake up the masculine. So with that, I wish you a pleasant evening. I hope you got value from this. And I will see you again tomorrow. As always, I invite you to take care of yourself because you deserve the best. And until you really love yourself, it may not be as easy to get. So take care of yourselves. I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.